Hello and welcome to Odds on Bundesliga, Matchday 17. After a short winter break, we are back in the new year with the Bundesliga. Remember, Ronan, we still have Bayer Leverkusen on top of the table, 4 points ahead of Bayern Munich, and the big question is they are going to be able to keep the pace in this 2024.
Yeah, happy New Year for Bayer Leverkusen and 𝐜𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐿 𝐴. It's a different way to start the year for Bayer Leverkusen than what they're used to, I'd say. But hopefully they can end the year maybe the same because they've been playing so well. They're still undefeated in all competitions. They've set the German record, the record for a German club, 25 games unbeaten in all competitions. So hopefully they can continue that into the new year. But they do have a tricky game coming up this weekend, so it could be an interesting one.
Indeed, against Augsburg, we will talk a lot in this very entertaining Bundesliga this season about Dortmund's problems, of course, Leipzig trying to get in the Champions League spots, and Franz Beckenbauer, a Bundesliga legend who passed away this week. So let's tune the Odds on Bundesliga. Of course, subscribe to our video, press the like. Let's go on with the show. And as we were mentioning in 2023, also in 2024, we have this special welcome bonus with 1xBet. So keep track of the promo code of the link, press our link, and you can get 130% in the welcome bonus. This is an exclusive offer. Well, Ronan, first game on Friday, unveiling this 2024 year in the Bundesliga in the cold Germany is Bayern Munich, Hoffenheim, and I'm sure it's going to be a very special game for Bayern Munich because, as we all know, Beckenbauer died at the age of 78 this week. It was a German legend, a World Cup winner as a player, as a manager. 3 times European Cup winner with Bayern Munich, probably the best German player in history. So it's going to be a special game for Bayern Munich. Let's see if they are able to give us a homage, a victory for Franz Beckenbauer. It's an easy start of the year for Bayern Munich. Ronan, they are not going to leave Baviera in the month because they have 3 consecutive home games. Then they are playing Augsburg and then Gladbach again at home.
Yeah, I'm expecting a kind of a fitting tribute this weekend at the Allianz Arena to Franz Beckenbauer, because obviously he's such a legend of the game, and some of the younger fans mightn't realize just how good a player he was or how impactful he was to win those European Cups with Bayern. They kind of dominated the 1970s, helped West Germany win the World Cup, and then later when he became a coach and manager, he went on to lift the 1990 World Cup with West Germany as well. So he was kind of one of these iconic figures in football, and the whole football community will be sad that he's gone, but especially Bayern Munich, where he spent a large part of his career, and he was such an iconic figure there, helping them to back European Cups. So I expect that it'll be a huge game for Bayern Munich, and it might give them kind of an added boost coming into this match. Not that Bayern Munich usually ever need an added boost, but it might kind of help them play maybe in tribute of him, as well as trying to demolish the opponents as they usually do. So I think the big talking point for this in Bayern Munich's on the pitch will be the lack of Min-jae Kim gone to the Asian Cup and Mazraoui gone with Morocco to the African Cup of Nations. So I think they will be kind of big losses for them at the back. So it could prove a more open game as Tuchel has to figure out which 4 defenders to kind of play for the next month or so. So that could make Bayern a bit more open at the back. Bayern are obviously in the market for a defender. Eric Dyer is one of the names that's been talked about to come through to the club. So he's not going to fill you with supreme confidence that can keep clean sheets with him in the team, but he is versatile, and that's what Bayern Munich like in the defenders. So that could be one to keep an eye on later in the window. As for this match, he got to to expect both teams could score. I think if both teams to score, yes, is 1.76. Hoffenheim's both teams to score has happened in 89% of their matches so far. So they seem to be a very open team. And like I said, Bayern will be without two key defenders. 𝐜𝐴𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐿 has gone to Mali for Hoffenheim. So they're not kind of hit as much by these international call-ups. Bayern are averaging 3.3 goals a game so far this season. But Hoffenheim themselves, they're no slouches in front of goal. They're averaging 2 goals a game so far this season. So I think for this one, I'm looking at, obviously the odds for Bayern to win aren't great. So it's you probably would make easy money on that, but you're not going to make a lot of money on it. But so I'm looking at for this one at both teams to score in the second half. And that's 2.88.
Well, Hoffenheim actually 15 out of 16 games this season ended in both teams to score, so all the games but one, and they are the third best away team in the Bundesliga with only 2 defeats, so for sure they can score when they are playing away. It's going to be interesting, as you mentioned, how Bayern Munich are going to play these games without 2 defenders, especially Kim. Very important going to the Asian Cup, but as I mentioned also at the beginning, they have a very easy start of the season. Basically, they are not going to leave Baviera. The only away game they have is against Augsburg. Our next game is Augsburg-Leverkusen. You mentioned in our intro that Xabi Alonso's men, they have a tough start of the season, a tricky game against Augsburg. Only 1 defeat at home this season for them. It was against Darmstadt, a big surprise, but perhaps another good test for Leverkusen because they play Leipzig away after this game. So they have a tough start of the year, Leverkusen.
Yeah, I think this is the period where things could be shaken up in the Bundesliga table. Like you said, Bayern Munich have games at home and then more games at home. So Bayer Leverkusen haven't been handed such an easy start to the year. And they obviously haven't been handed an easy start to the year by the fact that they were the team that had the most players going to the African Cup of Nations. They had 4 players. Victor Boniface was one of them, but now he's actually injured and he's going to miss maybe a month or more. So it could end up even being worse for him. He could be out for 6 weeks with a groin injury. So that could be a big loss to them. Obviously, 𝐸𝐴𝐴𝐴𝐷 might have stepped up in his place, but he's off the African Cup of Nations too. And they have 2 defenders off, 𝐻𝐿 and 𝐷𝐿𝐴. So they've got centre backs going out there. So that makes things very tricky, I think, for the next few weeks for Bayer Leverkusen. And Augsburg, on the other hand, they have no players called up for international duty. So they have the same squad that we saw before the international break, which had been kind of vastly improved under the new coach. They look to have turned a corner. So I think this could be a very tricky one for Bayer Leverkusen. The only kind of positive for them is that the more games they play, the more they look like they could be on target to win the Bundesliga. Opta Supercomputer now has them predicted a 29.4% chance to win the Bundesliga this season, and you never see figures kind of that high. So Bayern Munich obviously 68%, but yeah, 29% chance Leverkusen will win the league, but they'll need to be winning games like this, and they need to be winning games against Leipzig following this one. So I think recent history is actually on Augsburg's side. Augsburg won both of these games last season, 1-0 at home and 2-1 away. But the previous season it was 5-1 and 4-1 to Bayer Leverkusen. So this is a one that has been consistently inconsistent over previous years. Because of all the absences and because Bayer Leverkusen have been so good this season, I think this could be finally the match where they slip up. It could be. We've been waiting for it to happen. So I'm going to kind of go out on a limb here and say that Augsburg could get something from this game. I'm not going to be as bold and say Augsburg win. That's coming in at over 6. Augsburg Asian handicap 0 is 4.4. But I'm going to go Augsburg Asian handicap +1 and kind of think that maybe they could get a draw from here, or even a 1-goal defeat would get your money back. But yeah, that's coming in just around 2.
Okay, tricky game then for Leverkusen, going for Augsburg Asian handicap +1. That means, as you said, if Leverkusen win by 1-goal margin, you get your money back. Any positive result for Augsburg makes your bet a good one, winning one. Next game, Cologne, Heidenheim. Cologne in relegation spots with only 10 points, lost to Union Berlin and Freiburg in the last 2 games without scoring. That's their problem. Only 10 goals scored this season. And Heidenheim, we left them in the best moment of the season. They beat Freiburg, Mainz, and Darmstadt before the break.
Yeah, the Heidenheim seemed to be a team on the up, and Cologne seemed to be a team that can't find form at all. But perhaps the winter break came at the wrong time for Heidenheim, because I'd say they would have been glad to keep playing in over Christmas and the New Year period with the way they were playing. But I think Cologne, they have a new coach that could provide them a boost. Timo Schulz has come in, and obviously he hopes to change things from Stefan Baumgart's approach, because Cologne just weren't scoring goals under Baumgart. They were averaging 0.6 goals a game, so they couldn't even get a goal a game. It was absolutely atrocious. They only had 3 players with 2 or more goals this season. 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽𝐿 their top scorer with 4 goals. So goals are still hard to come by, and they haven't really strengthened there yet in the January window. So Timo Schulz does have his work cut out. The only positive is perhaps that they scored 4 goals in their pre-season, or their mid-season friendly, I should say, against Rot-Weiss Essen. They're a 3rd division side, but they scored 4 goals. They conceded 4 goals as well. So it wasn't one of these friendly walkover matches. So it's not filling me with confidence for Timo Schulz's kind of changes to the team yet. It might take a few weeks before we start to see his true identity on the team, and that should give Heidenheim some hope. These teams, they don't really have recent history. They've been in different divisions. It's the first meeting between the two of them since 2019, so there's nothing really to go on in this. But I think form before Christmas, if it carries on, and it should, Heidenheim look good value for the win, 3.64. So I'm going, my tip here for this one is Heidenheim and Asian handicap 0 at 2.54.
Next game, very interesting one. Freiburg, Union Berlin. These two teams were fighting for the Champions League spots last season, but now we have Union Berlin fighting to get away from the relegation spots. With Bielica, they are actually out because they beat Cologne in the last game of the year away from home, though. They are terrible. 6 consecutive defeats for Freiburg. They've improved in the last weeks of 2023, but they lost and conceded 3 against Heidenheim. One of the best things of the end of the season for Freiburg was keeping clean sheets. That didn't happen against Heidenheim.
No, it didn't. Yeah, you thought you saw the return of the Christian Streich Freiburg that were hard to beat, and I suppose with Union Berlin changing the manager, they were hoping that they would also revert to that kind of hard to beat kind of thing too. So their form has improved a bit under the new coach, but like you said, 6 away defeats on the trot. So that's not a good kind of forecast going into this match. It doesn't look positive for them. Union also, they've been kind of shaken up with the personnel changes. You mentioned that 2-0 win over Cologne. The second goal scorer, and that was David Datro Fofana, and he's been recalled by Chelsea. So any hope that Belgica might have had that he could do something for them in January and onwards is gone, because he's gone back. Chelsea are looking to get him games elsewhere. They didn't think that Union Berlin move was a wise one, and similarly the Bonucci experiment seems to have failed at Union Berlin too. There's talks he's on the way to Turkey. So Union just seemed kind of all over the place still, even with the new coach. I think it's going to take him a while to kind of settle down and find their rhythm again. Freiburg, they're coming into this match on the back of a very impressive 5-2 friendly win over Frankfurt. I know it's friendly, but still it should show that they are capable of scoring more goals than they have been scoring. The average goals per team in this one is 1.3 for Freiburg, 1.1 for Union Berlin. So total goals under 2.5 doesn't look too bad at 1.9 in this one. So yeah, I think it could be a low scoring affair, but I think the odds for me, just on a Freiburg win, they're the home team against a team who can't win away, they look good. So a Freiburg win is the one I'm going for here.
Okay, Freiburg to win in a low-scoring game seems a good option for this game. Next one is a good one. Leipzig, Frankfurt. We had Leipzig stopped by Werder Bremen before the break. It was a 1-1 result, but at home we know that Leipzig, they are very strong. They won everything apart from 2 draws. Frankfurt, on the other hand, it's kind of a difficult team to predict. They were getting better, at least in the last weeks of the year. Probably we should see a high-scoring game here, perhaps.
Yeah, I think so. I think Frankfurt, they've obviously they'll be damaged by the fact that one their strikers is off to AFCON, Marmoush is off to Egypt, but they've strengthened during the window with 𝐿𝐭𝐿𝐼 coming in from Wolves on loan. I think he will prove to be a smart signing. He kind of was scoring a goal every second game. The last time he was in Bundesliga, I think he returned 16 goals in one season. So he is capable of scoring goals in the Bundesliga. He knows how to get goals. He is a monster in the air. So I wouldn't expect him to start this one, maybe because he might match fit, but he could make a huge impact for Frankfurt in the coming weeks, and maybe he could even score in this one off the bench, perhaps. I think this could be an interesting game, a high-scoring one, like you said. Donny van de Beek could make his debut for Frankfurt. I think he will prove an excellent signing. So we should see a different Frankfurt than we've seen in the first half of the season here. They should be more consistent, hopefully. But Leipzig, like you said, they are a team who are very good at home. They score lots of goals. They've had their own kind of January strengthening. The Forsberg has obviously left the club, but they've signed Elmas from Napoli, and he can play in the same positions that Forsberg can. So it just seems a like-for-like replacement, and maybe even an improvement on it. Timo Werner is gone from the team. He's gone to Spurs, but that isn't going to be lost for them. He scored 2 goals so far this season, so it's not really a worry. This Leipzig team look as good, if not better, than they did, even though Werner's gone and Carvalho's gone back to Liverpool. I'm not going to worry too much about it. This one in the past, the most common result is with Leipzig at home is 2-1, so that looks good for both teams to score. Both teams score, yes, is 71% of Leipzig's matches so far this season, but 100% in the last 5 matches. Every one of their last 5 matches, both teams have scored in, so it seems a good one there. Frankfurt, 52%, not as good, but like I said, I think they're a different team than what we've seen in the first half of the season. So both teams to score, yes, here looks good at 1.72, but I'm going even more. I think RB Leipzig could win this one and win it well. So I'm going for Leipzig Asian handicap minus 1.25. That's just around 2.
Well, strange, the Timo Werner affair, right? His market, I think.
Yeah, I think it was wild seeing him linked to Man United, as if they need another forward who can't score. But I suppose he'll fit in with Spurs with Richarlison. So maybe that's what teams with forwards that can't score is in the market for Timo Werner. I think they can change him at the moment.
I saw the cycle. It's like you are in Leipzig, you perform well, a Premier League team pays a lot of money, then you perform really badly in the Premier League, then you go back to Leipzig, you do it again right, and perhaps you restart your career. This happens a lot, and it's happening to Timo Werner. Let's see. Next game is Mainz Wolfsburg. Mainz also in the bottom 3 with only 10 points, same points as Cologne or Darmstadt. So they have to get something out of this game. I remember before the break we were talking about Dortmund Mainz, and we were saying that I guess they were not gonna do it again and grab points from Dortmund, but indeed they drew against Dortmund, whereas for Wolfsburg it's also a bad season, 10th, but far from the European spots. Lost to Bayern, only 1-2, 3 defeats in the last 4 games, 2 underperforming teams this season, basically.
Yeah, they are teams that just can't seem to get out of their own way, and with Mainz it seems because of they seem to draw too many games. They can't seem to win, but you've said they have 10 points like Cologne, but 7 of those 10 points have been from draws, so they just seem to draw every game. Wolfsburg, on the other hand, they're just too inconsistent. Only one of their games have been draws, so been a draw, so they seem to win as many as they lose, or lose even more than they can win, and they're not really doing anything in front of goal they're not really doing anything on the pitch. They're not really doing anything at all. The only good thing for them maybe is that other teams have players going away on international duty and they have nobody, because nobody's really played well enough for any international team to want to call them up, I think, in Wolfsburg so far this season. Mainz, Lee Jae-sung has gone off to the Asian Cup and he will be a loss for them, but I think they'll be all right in his absence. And this will be one that I probably won't be tuning into. I'll watch the highlights, I'd say, but I wouldn't fancy watching it live. I'd say it'll be a poor enough game. The most common result in the past has been 1-1. The most common result in Mainz has been 1-1. So 8 of the last 21 meetings between the two teams have been draws. So this seems to have a draw written all over. The correct score, if you want to go there, 1-1, 6.5. But like I said, this one is going to be a draw. So I'm just going to tip that and move on to the next game and never think about it again.
The next game is Darmstadt Dortmund, and this is an interesting one because Dortmund, they are really in trouble. 27 points. This means 6 points away from Leipzig. Their numbers in the Bundesliga are absolutely awful. Drew with Mainz and Augsburg in the last 2 games. No victories in the last 4 Bundesliga games. When we talk about away games, only 2 victories away this season is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from the team we see in Europe, and they play against the bottom of the table. This is a must-win game for Dortmund.
It is, yeah, it definitely is. But I think the only good thing is for Dortmund is that they've made coaching changes during the winter break. Obviously, they've kept their head coach, which some people didn't think that 𝐜𝐿𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐿 should be in a job, and I'm one of those people. But I think the strength and the people they brought in will definitely make a difference. Nuri Sahin has come in, and Sven Bender, 2 former Borussia Dortmund players, have come in to be assistant coaches to 𝐜𝐿𝐧𝐧𝐶, and Sahin looks to be like they're kind of grooming him to be the long-term successor. He might even be the head coach from next season. You look at what he's done in Turkey with Antalyaspor. He was able to take points off good teams. He had a 46% win rate, which is impressive enough for a team that aren't expected to win most of their games. And I think he did very well there. And I think we will see a different Borussia Dortmund in 2024 as a result of these additions. He's already been kind of very hands-on in training. The footage that's coming out from their training camp in Marbella looks positive. He seems to be kind of doing well with the players, and they seem to be giving him a lot of respect, something that perhaps has been lacking at times with 𝐜𝐿𝐧𝐧𝐶, because there was even rumours that Marco Reus had a falling out with him. So I think Reus has played with Sahin and he knows what he can do, and the same with Sven Bender. These are experienced Bundesliga pros and they will be looked up to by the players. So I think Borussia Dortmund, I would expect them to turn a corner now, and they should do it immediately because they have been given a great game to kick off the year. I think the bookies are very generous with the odds they're giving for Borussia Dortmund win here. I think obviously we're looking at Borussia Dortmund and thinking this is the same team as we saw at times last season, or last year, but I don't think it will be at all. I think Borussia Dortmund will be a very different team now. They should be more rigid. They should have better tactical plans, and they should beat Darmstadt with ease this weekend. So the Dortmund win, I really like it, but I think that Dortmund could win by a good few goals here. So I'm going Dortmund Asian handicap minus 1.5.
Well, very optimistic with Borussia Dortmund. You weren't that optimistic last time we spoke. Let's see if there is a change of situation with Dortmund. They really need it because their numbers, again, are really bad in the Bundesliga. 2 games on Sunday. Bochum, Werder Bremen is not the best of the games, but still interesting for the relegation. Both teams are 6 points away from these relegation spots. Bochum, at home, they are always a dangerous team. Beat, for instance, Union Berlin or Wolfsburg in the last 2 games, whereas Werder Bremen were able to get draws from Leipzig or Gladbach. Therefore, it's a very tricky game. The only thing I don't like is the odds for Bochum. No, 2.2 is too favorite. Bochum to win.
Yeah, I don't fancy Bochum at all in this one, and that is mainly because of this one Asian Cup call-up they have. Takuma Asano has been called up to play for Japan in the Asian Cup. He's their top scorer in the Bundesliga this season with 5 goals, and they won't really replace him They don't have anyone that can step in and fill the kind of role that he plays, and I think that's going to be difficult for them. Bremen's only international call-up is Naby Keita, and we haven't really seen him this season. He's only played 81 minutes in the Bundesliga this season, so he will not be a loss in any way, shape, or form. He just has not existed for Werder Bremen this season, so he'll continue not to exist as he's on international duty. So I think Bochum, their chances are massively hindered by the fact that Asano's off to the Asian Cup, and I think that's going to be a tricky one for them. They haven't beaten Werder Bremen at home since 1998. So it's a long time coming, a victory for them, and I think they could still be waiting a while more for it, because last season Bremen won both matches. They won 3-0 at home, they won 2-0 in Bochum. So it looks like a match that Werder Bremen could win to 0. 6.5 if you're interested in that, because Bochum, with no Asano, they don't look like scoring, and they didn't look like scoring their last game before the international break. They took their Christmas holidays early. They had 0 shots on target and 0 shots off target in the 4-0 loss to Bayer Leverkusen. So they were absolutely atrocious before the break. They have no goal scorer, so I don't think they're going to do anything whatsoever here. So Werder Bremen to win looks like it is a guarantee for me nearly.
And the last game, a better one, probably is Gladbach, Stuttgart. Stuttgart is still shining in Champions League spots, beat Augsburg before the break with Guirassy, for instance, scoring a goal, 17 goals scored. They're going to miss him. Whereas Gladbach, I guess we should expect them to improve in this second part of the season, because they've been so poor, so difficult to predict. 1 point only in the last 3 games.
Yeah, they've put in good performances, but had terrible results. So you're just kind of waiting for the good performances to turn into results. And I keep predicting them to do something, and they still keep putting in good performances and not getting the good results. But hopefully this is the one that turns things around, because Stuttgart, on the other hand, they've probably been overperforming this season. 11 wins is their best ever first half to a season. And can they keep it up? Probably not, because Guirassy, like you said, he's going to be such a big loss for them. Obviously, Undav stepped up when he was injured, but Guirassy has been kind of integral to everything that Stuttgart has done. His 17 goals, he's got 1 assist, so that's 18 goals he's been involved in, and Stuttgart only have 37 goals in total. So half of all their goals come through him. He's involved in one way or another. And if you look at the other players that are called up, Siles is off to AFCON with DR Congo. He has 3 goals and assists to his name. 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽𝐿 and 𝐜𝐿𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐭𝐿 are off to the Asian Cup. So they're all big losses. And only �𝐿𝐴𝐽𝐿𝐴𝐽𝐿 has gone off to either competition with Gladbach. So they're not really hit with the same kind of team change. So I think Gladbach should be able to keep their consistency. They should have their forwards back fit. That was a big problem before the break. So they should look a better team. And I think they can take something from this game. And I think the odds for Stuttgart are way too high for this one. I think Gladbach should be able to do something. So I like the look of Gladbach Asian handicap 0, 2.67.
Surprise to end this video. In the last game we have in this Bundesliga, resuming on Friday the 12th of January. Ronan, your safe bet?
My safe bet, I said earlier I'd never bet on Borussia Dortmund in the season. I said earlier in the season I wouldn't bet on Borussia Dortmund again, but I think this is a different Borussia Dortmund, so I'm going to rip up that and start again. So the safe bet this week is Borussia Dortmund to win.
We humans make the same mistakes twice or even 3 times or 4 times. Let's see if Dortmund, they are able to win finally away from home. And your ACCA?
I'm going for a big ACCA this week. I'm going to start with a Dortmund win, but I think Asian handicap 0 for Bremen and Gladbach will look good to involve in an ACCA this week. So I think that could be a high performing one, hopefully.
Okay, it's over 10. This ACCA, Dortmund to win, Bremen and Gladbach Asian handicap 0. Ronan, see you next week. Let's enjoy Bundesliga again. I guess it's going to be very cold in German stadiums, but that's good for us to watch it on TV. See you, Ronan. Bye-bye.
Cheers.